Welcome to the A2 Show with Andrew Cass and Aaron Parkinson, bringing you the trends and topics that affect our lives the most: business, politics, fitness, family, and finance. With over 50 plus years of combined business experience and over $1 billion in revenue generated, your hosts have a unique gift for seeing many steps ahead where others do not. They bring their unfiltered, contrarian views to the show every week to help you win in business and in life.
Aaron, how are you, bud? Number 2 here with the A2 show. Number 2, but number 155, I believe, overall. I've got my hit list today, my man. We've got so much to talk about here today. And, I got some people that reached out and said, whatever happened to the yellow glasses you used to wear when we did Sales Velocity TV? And I said, hey, it's a new era and a new age. These are actually my real lenses if you're watching the show on YouTube. These are the real deals. I don't really have to wear them, but I've gotten used to them a little bit. What do you think? Glasses or no glasses, buddy?
Well, first off, if you need to be able to see, we need to have
No,
glasses.
It's not at that level. Please don't make me older than I am. It's not at that level yet. It's truly for reading.
Yeah, I heard somebody say last week in one of the chats that I was in that 50 is geriatric, and I was like, whoa.
Wait, TJJ.
Whoa.
I turned 50 last year, man, and I'm hanging in there. It was tough psychologically, but I've maintained a pretty good condition for 50, by the way, which I'll talk about my next modality here in a little bit. But how you doing, buddy? Good.
I'm doing amazing. It's you and I were talking about this before the show. It's been a chaotic week, and I think for anybody that's really paying attention, to
which isn't many.
Well, it's less than it probably should be.
It's way less than it should be. I have a feeling.
There are definitely reasons to probably feel chaotic over the last week, and we're gonna cover a few of those, some current events this morning, and then we're gonna basically relay that into the topic that we want to discuss today.
Right.
But before we do that,
yes, sir.
I believe that you wanted to announce your newest acquisition.
Well, since we do talk quite a bit about fitness and wellness and whatnot, I did finally make a long time. You have like these investments you want to make that are normal. Like for some people, it's a car. For some people, it's I don't know, art, wines, whatever. For me, I tend to want to build and collect fitness and recovery type things. And I finally got my cold plunge, Aaron. I posted it on my Instagram page, did a little tour. You should check that out. I did a little evening tour of my cold plunge the other day. I finally got one. I used to cold plunge quite a bit when I was working out at a gym in Miami that had it. It was the first gym in Miami that ever had a cold plunge. And I got into it then. This was 2018, 19. So I got away from it quite a bit. Now I have one on my patio, and I'm just having a blast with it. It's really fun. It has great technology, so I can set the temperature to 55 or back to 65 if my kids want to go in, and I can monitor it. And it's almost like taking care of a little pool. You have to monitor the water and keep it a certain level from a pH standpoint. But overall, from a recovery standpoint, Aaron, 2 minutes in the cold plunge for 50 degrees, 48 degrees, wherever you're at. I'm working my way down right now. You get out of that thing, and you stand on the ground for about a minute. And for us, we live in a great climate, so we're standing in the sun, which is just unbelievable, right? You stand in the 90-degree sun after getting out of a 40 or 50-degree cold plunge, and your body, I can't explain the feeling. There's like this endorphin rush. There is. And you just feel lighter and younger. It's incredible. It's incredible.
My wife goes to cryotherapy 4 times a week.
Similar.
And she does it because of...
I never liked the dry cold, personally.
Yeah, I mean, she likes it, and it's all about how it makes her feel. She knows all about the recovery benefits, the reduction of inflammation,
for sure.
All of these things. But she says the same thing. She just feels better,
like lighter and younger.
Emotionally.
Yes,
when
question.
she does it. So
no question.
I'm envious that I don't have one.
I have to tell you, for a guy of your stature. This guy here lives in the Caribbean in a multi-million-dollar home near the water. And I got to tell you, you're playing awfully small not having a cold plunge at your house, pal. I have to tell you, I'm a little disappointed. You're sending your wife down the street in the car to get into dry cold when she could go into the backyard by the pool and get into a real cold plunge. I got to tell you, I'm thinking about getting off the show today. I'm disappointed.
I feel like the gauntlet's been laid down to a degree. In the start of this show, I'm feeling like a lesser human.
I sent Aaron a text the other day. I'm like, buddy, you don't have a cold plunge at your house. Are you like, is there something wrong? Are you playing small? Meanwhile, I've had it for an hour as I'm blasting you. Anyways,
I will be looking at cold plunges later, but let's talk about the
Let's
different
talk
things
about
that
some
we
big
saw.
current events on the table before we pivot to our main topic today, which is investment compression. And now investment compression means a couple things. We're seeing investment compression really from our standpoint in business, where we're seeing sales cycles drying up, not good, right? We're seeing retention issues and we're seeing investment compression issues, not only in business, but also in true investments as well. People are clamming up a little bit, and we'll talk about why that's the case here in a little bit. But a couple current events. I want to always start with what's going on and get your take, and you can get my take and whatnot. I've got three. First one is, Aaron, you're in the Caribbean, technically, right? Is Cayman Islands is considered the Caribbean, and I'm in South Florida. Right?
We're just below and west of Cuba, so we're definitely in the Caribbean.
So to my point, so we've got, kid you not, I think you know this, Russian warships now circulating around Cuba and in the Caribbean as of Wednesday. I don't know if you're aware of this. So they're right in our backyard right now.
Yeah,
pretty concerning. You're going to talk about the CPI, Consumer Price Index, and then I'm going to talk about the debates coming up here, big debates coming up, starting the debate cycle here in June. So let's talk about number one. Aaron, you know much about the 1961 Cuban Missile Crisis? I'm sure you do.
I do.
Right? It's one of those things that I think, regardless of where, I ask Aaron because he's from Canada normally. So if you're not from the U.S., you might be like, I heard about it, but didn't really pick it up in school. But that was the closest we've ever come as a country to a nuclear confrontation. And I'm actually watching a documentary I'll recommend right now, which is phenomenal. It's called Turning Point, and it's actually the history of the atomic bomb and the Cold War. I started watching it about 2 weeks ago, and then this happened, ironically. It wasn't because this happened that I started watching. It was really interesting, right? But interesting because the 1961 Cuban Missile Crisis this is a replay where they were setting up bases on Cuba back then. Now they're on warships. So they were on land then. And now they're in warships, and I don't know if this is showmanship or if they're just sort of flexing their warship muscles.
They're
to
definitely
say,
flexing.
Hey,
they're
United
flexing
States, keep sending $1 billion a month over to the Ukraine, and we're going to show you that we're not going to tolerate, what really is what it is. It's posturing. And the reason it's happening right now, which is concerning, is because the Biden administration just said last week that for the first time, Ukraine is authorized to use United States weapons inside of Russia. That's a very big problem. That was not the case before. So they were the I don't know if you call it a treaty or a contract or documentation that basically stated that the weapons are for in Ukraine. As soon as they transfer over the border to Russia, United States is now stamped in the war. Not good. So they think that this started transpiring since that green light was given about 2 weeks ago. So very concerning. And one of those ships does have some sort of nuclear capacity. I know it's that there's not nuclear weapons on the ship. At least that's what they say, right? Like they know, right? But there's capacity. So that's concerning. That's topic number one here.
Yep. And definitely when we look at...
Do you see them when you look out your window?
No, they're a little too far for me. But we talk about the volatility and people's emotional state, which you have to remember is that there's no prosperity in times of war. It's a great quote. Yeah. I don't remember whose it was.
I know. It's a really good quote.
There's really only prosperity for those of the people funding the military complex, which is why a lot of this stuff happens, right?
It's a beast of a business model now.
It is. And so what happens is when people are afraid, they clam up, I think is the word that you used, and they don't spend money. And right now, in the last year, unfortunately, because I don't believe this administration has done a very good job of handling it. You have obviously the Russia-Ukraine war. Now you've got Russian warships in the Caribbean. You had, Palestine firing a gazillion missiles over at Israel. Then you had Iran getting involved there. Like this is a lot of.
There's even a little China-Taiwan tension now.
Yeah, probably not as much on everybody's radar. These other things are definitely on people more on their radar.
Right.
And people are concerned. They're saying like it feels like we're one bad day away from something pretty cataclysmic.
It feels like we're like a next morning away of being not shocked if there's some sort of altercation that hits our shores, right?
Absolutely.
And you throw on top of that the fact that the border is not is that the border is open. Like literally, it's not closed. And they're fighting tooth and nail to not close it. And they just keep blaming everybody but the fact that they basically passed something like 24 executive orders that undid border security 3-4 years ago. Different topic for a different day, but you add that to the mix. I mean, just wartime alone, what we're seeing with the tensions around the world. If I'm president, that's reason enough for me alone to secure every aspect of my country, because now we're vulnerable. Everybody is. And if you leave us vulnerable, you don't give two shits. And that's what's happening right now.
Yeah. And we don't know if it's some type of nefarious orchestrated plan.
Well, at this point, you'd think
it feels like
at this point, it would have to be, because just with war alone, just with tensions alone, just with fentanyl alone, we've got a 400% increase in fentanyl coming over the border. Just with the fact that women and children are being trafficked and gone missing, these things alone, you close it. You don't, like, it's time for, put the politics away. We know you're importing voters. This isn't the time for that. This is a time to come together. It's a time for unity and safety. Not happening.